Hello, and welcome to another installment in our Advisicon webinar program. We're delighted to have you with us as we explore the essentials of crafting superior presentations in our session entitled PowerPoint 101. Here at Advisicon, we help organizations achieve greater impact by leveraging work management technologies to accomplish more with less. As work management consultants and technology specialists, our focus is on streamlining processes, improving systems, and achieving better outcomes. In today's learning, we'll touch on the power of design, learn the ways we can tailor our messaging for presentations, and grasp how graphics can help convey concepts to our audience. To wrap up, we'll talk about the final steps to take to prepare the presentation and seal it up with a quick summary. Let's dive in. A little about myself. My name is Alina. I'm a graphic designer and creative media advisor here at Advisicon. I've been a Microsoft user for many years, and I'm passionate about leveraging technology to make work easier. As a graphic designer, I've seen and worked with a great number of presentations, and I'm incredibly excited to share PowerPoint hacks and best practices with you today. No matter how rough your PowerPoint is, I guarantee you'll pick up some tips here today to make it better. Kicking off, let's explore powerful elements of design and how to create a strong starting point for a presentation. To begin, there are four basic things to consider before creating a PowerPoint presentation. Now, these might seem a little obvious, but keeping these in the forefront of your mind will help form a firm launch point for the design process. The first is to define the intention of the presentation. Some common intentions may be information sharing, problem solving, planning, entertainment, or expressing emotion. If you're trying to persuade your audience, you might use a little from each of these categories. Regardless of the intention, I recommend keeping a bit of the entertainment factor around. The last thing you want is to put your audience to sleep. Speaking of your audience, ask yourself if your viewers are internal or external facing. What's their age range, their gender, their beliefs? The best presentations are highly relatable to the audience. The third consideration is to keep the design clean. Avoid using busy backgrounds, random lines or shapes that don't serve a purpose, and clashing color combinations. Be intentional with your message. You cannot save a bad presentation with bells and whistles and crazy animations. That might make the audience feel distracted at the time, but the feeling they'll have when the presentation is over will be a sense of relief. We want to respect our audience's intelligence. The final consideration is to use a theme. Now, if you've looked at PowerPoint's built-in themes and were underwhelmed, you're not alone. I don't actually recommend using those themes. Instead, visit the Microsoft Create website. The web address is on the screen, and check out PowerPoint templates from there. If those don't suit you or you can't use the Slide Master to customize them to make them work, there are more templates available online for free or for purchase. There's a ton of options out there. Taste is notoriously tricky to develop, and they say that some people simply have it or you don't. I don't want to dishearten anyone though, because your voice and creativity is important and a vital part of being human. As you mature, you'll develop your own sense of style and, trial and error, you can kind of realize what does and doesn't work. Um, and however, even if you've been doing PowerPoint presentations for years and you consider yourself an expert presenter, that doesn't always mean that your presentations are as effective as they could be. In fact, once you've done something one way for so long, it can be hard to change. A great way to train your eye and begin to build your confidence is to learn the basic principles of design. The first is balance. The second is contrast. The third is emphasis. The fourth is movement. The fifth is pattern. The sixth is rhythm. And the seventh is unity or variety. If you want to learn more, there are a lot of great resources online with visual examples of all of these concepts. And if you want, you can make note of these 7 principles and see if you can identify which are showing up where during this presentation. A good composition considers each of these principles, but just don't forget that it's okay to bend the rules and be yourself. Our next section focuses on mastering your messaging. To write clear, compelling content, you'll want to keep your words per slide to a minimum. The standard rule is about 30 words per slide. By sticking to this, you should be able to easily fulfill the next goal, which is to write in fragments using just the key words. No one wants to read your slides, nor should you be reading off your slides. A PowerPoint isn't a novel or a dissertation, it's just the cliff notes. Next, you'll want the text you do choose to feature to be legible. Don't use a tiny font size or use colors that blend into the background. When in doubt, you can always stick to black or white, the highest contrast colors. Lastly, you always want to check your text for spelling, grammar, and punctuation. A spell check doesn't typically come on in PowerPoint by default, but you can search for it and manually run it, which I do recommend. If you're looking for a great free app to use in PowerPoint, Word, and many other Microsoft products, I like using Grammarly. Their tips are often much more useful than a standard spelling check. To look at the power of implementing these messaging concepts, here's a sneak peek at our next part's concepts. Clearly, this slide looks a lot different from what we've seen so far, and yet I can't tell you how many presentations I've seen that looked just like this. Let's dive in and analyze just what's going wrong here. First, there are way too many words on this slide. Contrary to what some may think, wordiness doesn't make you look smarter or more prepared in a presentation. There might be bullet points on this slide, but it still doesn't look like it's concise or well ordered. It would be better to use keywords and not the full sentences that are featured here. Next, the text becomes too small and it's hard to read, particularly when using a glaring color like highlight yellow, which doesn't fit into the rest of the presentation's look. There are also grammatical errors. And lastly, there's no imagery on this slide. Our third section focuses on the power of graphics and how to use them in PowerPoint. To start, there are many reasons to use images. The most compelling three are that they enable your audience to swiftly comprehend concepts, they add visual interest to engage viewers, and they strengthen your slide's message. An easy way to reap these benefits is to use icons. Clicking the Insert menu in PowerPoint's top bar opens a variety of options. By selecting icons, a window pops open with a library of assets. You can scroll through or search for a specific item. If nothing pops up in your keyword search, try using alternative similar words or using a broader search term. Don't forget, you can use icons together to illustrate custom concepts, or right-click on the icon in your presentation to convert to shape and then tweak as you'd like. Photos are another item you can easily add in the Insert toolbar. If you have an external-facing audience or the presentation may at any point go out to the public, you must source free images without a copyright. You can add stock images or visit websites like Pexels or Unsplash to download more options. If you want an image of a certain size or shape for more visual interest, you can insert a shape and change the standard solid fill to a picture fill of your choice. Smart art is another great way to convey information. This comes in handy when you want to create diagrams, how relationships work or hierarchies are formed, or convey complex concepts simply. This is where an image can be worth 1,000 words. PowerPoint offers a ton of smart art categories and many specific designs in each category. One thing I like to do is to preview other layout styles in real time. This gives me a better visual assessment on my slide. So once you've inserted Smart Art, make sure that the illustration is selected and the Smart Art design menu will appear in the top bar. Once it's selected, you can click the drop-down arrow next to the layouts and hover over a new style in the resulting window to see what other layouts can visually offer you. In that same Smart Art Design menu, you can choose to automatically recolor the graphic. I recommend choosing a colorful range for visual interest, since by default, the Smart Art will appear using the Accent Color 1 option, which will lead to a very monochrome illustration. The color options that appear in the drop-down menu are based off of your PowerPoint's theme colors. To change theme colors, you can navigate to the Design menu, click on Variants, Colors, and choose from the palettes there or customize the colors. Keep in mind this changes the colors for your entire PowerPoint. So to change the coloring just within the Smart Art, I recommend first making sure all of the information is correct, then converting it to shapes. This option gives you the most control over the design. It allows you to change the individual shape colors, image outlines, fills, icon sizing, and more. Keep in mind, I do recommend sticking to a single color palette in your presentation. This isn't the place to go completely rogue. Now we're ready for the final step before sharing our presentation with our audience. Final prep work. A common thing I see and something very time saving for people is to incorporate slides from other presentations. While this is fine as long as the styling matches your theme, it can cause problems on the back end of the file. I've seen files get up to 500 megabytes, which is ridiculous, given that our standard email attachment cap is 13 megabytes in Outlook, I believe. Not only are these presentations nearly impossible to share, the long load time is incredibly annoying to users. While this can be due to unusually large embedded images, I found that it's typically the slide master causing this bloat, since when you paste in a slide, its entire slide master deck comes with it. I recommend selecting the pasted slide, searching for slide master, and when in the slide master, hovering the mouse over a selected slide to see where it's being used in the presentation. If it's an unused design, delete it. This may seem tedious, so when working with duplicate slides, you might consider copying and pasting in a slide's content rather than the entire slide. Whatever the case, this will get faster as you go on, and I have no doubt that at some point we'll be able to ask AI to perform this auditing task for us. A great way to put some sparkle on your presentation is to add in motion. While motion can be distracting, it can also be a useful tool to move your audience along in a measured fashion, focusing attention and prohibiting viewers from skipping ahead in the information. The first step is to make a plan. Don't add motion for motion's sake. Ask what will enhance the concept and keep your audience locked in. Should you consider slide transitions, animations, a blend of both? If you choose to add animations, I recommend grouping objects as you want them to appear simultaneously. A quick way to do this is select all the elements you want grouped, click on them while holding down Shift to do that, then release the Shift button and hit Control G. After this, you can simply select the group or item and navigate to the Animations menu. I recommend adding subtle effects that intuitively work with the shapes you're applying them to. If it looks like it's something that would be featured in a cartoon, um, I would avoid it except in the most loose presentation scenarios. Give a thought to timing too. If you want the effect to be on a click or staggered after the previous effect or happen with the previous effect. Make sure you allow enough time to test your animations or transitions. When in doubt, keep it simple. Particularly if you're working with a group, you have to ensure you're all on the same page with timings and animation triggers. It might be more trouble than it's worth. Lastly, you'll want to work on putting the finishing touches on your presentation. Add speaker notes as needed to guide you through. Check slides and the overall look of the presentation according to the 7 principles of design, and practice, practice, practice. You'll at least want to go through your full presentation out loud once. Time yourself, and better yet, record yourself to note which sections you need to work on to create a more fluid delivery. If it's a live presentation, be prepared to field questions, or you can even create a frequently asked questions sheet to accompany the information. The most important thing to remember is to maintain a sense of showmanship and confidence as you demonstrate how well you know your topic. In our final section, we'll go over a quick summary of today's learnings. To wrap up, the keys to a powerful design are to keep your presentation clean, learn and love the principles of design, and work with a great theme as a launching point. For clear messaging that hits home with your audience, opt for keywords over sentences on your slides and perform a thorough spelling and grammar check. I recommend Grammarly. Opt for graphics over wordy text where you can, and use copyright free photos that reinforce your message. For complex concepts, use and customize smart art to simply and graphically convey ideas. Finally, don't wing it. Practice and review your timing and designs, add appropriate speaker notes, and for the best results, record yourself ahead and listen back before delivering the final presentation. Thank you for watching this webinar. Please feel free to reach out with any questions, like or follow us on our social media platforms, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We offer many free trainings in our online academy. You can access those by visiting advisicon.thinkific.com. For project managers, simply become a member of Advisicon Academy to receive the code to redeem free PDUs. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.